Dear colleagues, lunchtime is close, so I'm trying to be very short and effective. I'm talking about waterborne intoxications and the climate change. And you can see here some sorts of definition about this. In the second sentence, you can see pollutants and infection, and so on and so on. I want to tell you a few words about a new challenge, toxins, waterborne toxins. What is the difference between toxic agent in general and toxins? Toxic agents can be different chemical compounds. Toxins are also chemical compounds, but toxins are produced by living organisms, bacteria, fungal species, and algae, snake, and so on and so on. So I'm talking about algal species now because it's a very important new challenge for us. There is an abbreviation now, so it means it's a real problem. If we have a new abbreviation, it means it's a new problem. Harmful algal blooms and health. What does it mean? There is an overproduction of algal species in our waters, and that's why some strains of these algal species can produce toxins. Some toxins are really toxic. More toxic than, for example, cobra venom. It's important to mention. What are the possible routes of exposure? First of all, in the coastal area, when consumption of seafood is very important, ingestion of contaminated food, contaminated fish, contaminated shellfish, which were exposed to algal toxins. Then water consumption, drinking water consumption. We prepare drinking water from these raw waters containing toxins, and some traces will remain in the final product, the drinking water. Inhalation. When we are swimming or bathing in a natural lake, for example, we inhale different compounds. Some volatile toxins can expose us. And finally, the direct skin contact, swimming, bathing, it's natural. Okay. How can the climate change affect these algal species? And the vast majority of these algal species are tropical or subtropical species. That's why they prefer warmer water. So the result is an overproduction, which is called algal blooms. And this is an acceleration process. Practically, it's a positive feedback. The other possible effects of algal blooms, salinity, changes in salinity. The fresh waters, especially near the coast, because of invasion of marine water and invasion of marine algae, can be more toxic. The carbon dioxide levels. The carbon dioxide level is higher and higher, and dilution of carbon dioxide in water will form as a carbon source for these living organisms. Changes in rainfall. Coastal upwelling. Coastal upwelling, it's an important thing because of the climate change, there is a possible upflow of water from the seafloor, and it will cause a nutrient enrichment in the coastal areas. Why is it so important? Because in the coastal areas, the marine toxic HABs, harmful algal bloom, will expose the population through the seafood consumption. The seafood consumption, perhaps everybody heard about paralytic shellfish poisoning, but the newest one is the ciguatera poisoning by ciguatoxin. The ciguatoxin is caused by Gambia discus. This is a dinoflagellate. If I go back, you can see over there this alga. And the bioaccumulation and biomagnification of the toxin is very important through the food chain, and that's why the symptoms are very broad. Gastrointestinal, neurological, and cardiovascular symptoms can be caused by these toxins, and high concentration of these toxins are present in fish and shellfish, and consumption will expose the population. It's very important, as you can see, the UNESCO also deal with the problem, and it has a information system about these diseases. The color code is missing here, but it's just to demonstrate how big the problem. We do not have seas and oceans. In Central Europe, we have inland lakes. And in the inland lakes, we have also the same problem, a toxic algae problem, and a new group, the cyanobacteria group. The cyanobacteria is a group of algae, but they are prokaryotic algae, so that's why they were reclassified to bacteria group, which is called cyanobacteria. They are present in freshwater ecosystems, and they have a long evolutionary history. They are very old phylum of the living organisms. They can survive practically everything. Man-made effects, geochemical effects, natural effects, and so on, because they have very specific features. What are they? You can see some pictures about this group. So it's a phylum of living organisms, cyanobacteria. So formerly they were called as blue-green algae. Nowadays we use this new word, cyanobacteria. They are prokaryotes. Other algae are eukaryotes, not prokaryotes. Only this group. They can photosynthesize. As they are bacteria now, the gram staining is important. The gram-negative cell, they have gram-negative cell wall. They may be unicellular or multicellular, filamentous. What are their specific features? How can they survive everything? Because they have very high ultraviolet tolerance. They can produce antioxidant compounds. They can synthesize UV screening or absorbing compounds. They are ready to apoptosis if there is any problem. They can reach vitamins from other populations, coexisting bacteria. So they have very benign features. And one thing is important. Because they are photosynthetic organisms, they can produce organic compounds from inorganic ones. But what is the carbon source of these aquatic organisms? They can use the diluted carbon dioxide from water and also carbonate and bicarbonate ions, which are also diluted in waters. And they have a very specific organ, the carboxysome, which are endosymbiontic bacteria. If you look at an inland water, freshwater ecosystem, you will see that how can cyanobacteria bloom, grow in a lake. On the left-hand side, you can see the different gases which are present in the atmosphere as generating by the greenhouse effect. Ammonia, different nitrogen oxides, carbon dioxide. and they are diluted in water, so they have the carbon source. And on the right-hand side, you can see the influent water, creek, river, and so on and so on. If there is a high flow, what is the situation, and what is the situation if the low flow? You can see the effect of the sunlight, the mixing effect, the shading effect. The shading effect is very important again, because if there is a cyanobacterial bloom near the surface of the lake, it will shade the bottom of the lake, causing hypoxia, so low redox potential, anaerobic conditions, and it will cause other problems. And you can see the nutrient enrichment from the soil, mainly as a result of agriculture, nitrogen and phosphorus. So there are many controlling factors of the cyanobacterial bloom. You can see a short taxonomy of this group, and let me mention only one, the Cylindrospermopsis raciborski. It's a very sophisticated name otherwise, but this is the most hazardous one. This is the mystic species. It's a filamentous cyanobacterium. Originally, it's also a tropical organism, but nowadays, all over Europe, we can find in the inland lakes this one. Why is it so important? Because they can produce very harmful toxins. On the left-hand side, you can see these alkaloids, which are produced by this organism. First time it was described in 1979 in Australia, and this was the Palm Island mystery disease. In a reservoir, there was an overgrowth of this organism, and they detected this overproduction, algal overproduction, and add some disinfectant, try to eliminate these cells, and it was copper sulfate. The copper sulfate killed these cyanobacteria, and from the killed cells there was escape of the toxin in high concentration. So finally it was present in the drinking water and exposed to the population. More than 100 people were hospitalized by neural and other symptoms, and mainly children. That was the biggest problem. The other possible problem, the disinfection byproducts of drinking water treatment. Everybody heard about the trihalometanes, for example, which are byproducts of chlorination. If we chlorinate water containing organic compounds like these toxins, the consequence mainly is the high concentration of these byproducts. Some authors describe the dioxin production also in case of different algal species. If we swim or bathe in a natural lake containing such cyanobacterial cells, a huge list of problems can be found. Now, in the Central Eastern Europe, we have some lakes, natural lakes, with medicinal effect. And these lakes, the water of these lakes contains high concentration of carbonate or bicarbonate ions. So this is a very good carbon source for these organisms. So it means that the risk of bathing is increasing even nowadays as a consequence of climate change. We can study the effect at different levels. Nowadays, we have very molecular levels like genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, and metabolomics. So there are many possibilities to estimate the effect in a water. If we look at the literature, the scientific literature, we will see that mainly two different groups are involved in these HABs. The first one is the dark blue is for the coastal area. So this is a marine problem. But the light blue is the cyanobacteria presence in the lake. So it is also, you can see that newer and newer articles deal with this problem. So what can we do? Finally, this is a general list to decrease the risk of waterborne intoxications or waterborne diseases. And for intoxications, we can mention the early warning systems and mainly technical or technological solutions to improve the quality of water catchment area, storage, treatment, and distribution systems. And finally, we can use the household water purification systems, but there are a few more risks of these systems, so it's only a final solution. Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation.